We are live again, y'all. What's going on? It's your boy Mike. This is the From the Dish podcast, coming to you live from Las Vegas. Man, it's been beautiful in Vegas. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. This is it right here. This is it. 80s, 90s. This is perfection. This is why I moved to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? This is perfect. This is you can go out there, put your Jesus sandals on. You could turn a grill on. You can get by some water. You can grab yourself some beer. You can go to a ballpark. Man, it's just a beautiful time of year right now in Vegas. I'm loving it. Um, and yeah, we skipped last week's show, but we're back this week. So just a quick update on everything, just so y'all have a roadmap of what's to come. Um, I'm moving. I'm gonna stay in Vegas, but I'm moving. So that's been pretty much what's taking up a lot of my time these days. Packing, unpacking, the whole nine. You know how it goes, y'all. So getting ready to get that out the way. And then I also go to Maryland this week, this upcoming week. And then this episode's being recorded Monday night, Monday, May 13th. This is after play, so all the games have ended. All stats are current before the games start on Tuesday. But yeah, this weekend I'm going out to Maryland. I'm gonna go catch the Orioles. Most importantly, I'm hoping the game doesn't get rained out. There's a 55% chance of rain, so that is not that's a little scary. That's not what you want to see. That's not ideal. That's the word I was looking for. And then I'm also gonna go to a Nationals game as well. So look out for some weekend coverage for those two teams. I'll be following them for the most part since I'll be in the city, in the state, and that's what y'all can look forward to. And then upcoming next week, I should be able to put out a podcast, even though, like I said, I got some things going on and then been busy with work. So a lot of life going on right now, family matters, personal things like that. So lot going on, but we're still here tonight, and we got a packed show for y'all today. Uh, the story of the weekend obviously was the Paul Skenes debut. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Max Fried. Him and the Braves almost pulled something off against the Mets this weekend. We're gonna get into a little bit of Phillies because they've been doing some fun stuff, and then we're gonna get into some new stats. As if baseball didn't have enough stats, y'all. We got some more stats that are rolling out, more data, a way to evaluate players. We're gonna go over exactly what came out today, in fact. So I'm kind of glad I waited to record today because this is something that I actually really want to talk about. We'll save that for the back end of the show. And then we're just gonna jump right in after that. We're at the quarter mark of the season, y'all, believe it or not. Um, we're about 40 and change games in. That's the quarter mark, man. I it comes at you quick. I know a lot of people don't say that about baseball season. It's 162 games. It's all damn summer. I get it from a casual standpoint, but for someone like myself, man, I feel like this is just flying by, especially since I got all these things going on in my personal life. Um, so yeah, man. But it's flying by. At this point, you kind of know what kind of team you have. Obviously, there's still so much time to make a run. If you're down bad right now in the standings, you got enough time to make it up. But the time is ticking though, man. Like especially if you're someone like the Astros, someone like like the Angels. I got to throw them in there, just because I'm a fan, of course. But yeah, man. It's a lot going on in the game right now, and instead of rambling, instead of rambling, let's get into the Bucks. So we're gonna talk about Paul Skeens and his debut. We're gonna lead off with that today. Um, it was a debut with, I would say, encouraging results. Now, if you're someone who just looks at the box score or just looks at Skeen's stats, I don't think it properly depicts what happened this weekend. So I'm just gonna kind of give you guys a run through of what I saw as I was, watching this game and trying to get everything together here. But yeah, man. Right now his ERA is 6.75 after his first start. 4 innings, 7 strikeouts. That doesn't really pop out to you if you just look at it surface level. He gave up a home run, he walked two. So, you know, um, you look at that and you're like, man, this guy, what's all the hype about? However, like I said, this is why ERA can be flawed. And this is why baseball has all of these stats because you just look at ERA real quick and you're thinking, oh my God, this kid, he went out there and he stunk. When in reality, he looked pretty good, if you ask me. A lot of swing and misses on his stuff. Look, we heard about his stuff coming out of college and going into the draft. There's a reason he was the champion at LSU. There's a reason he was the number one overall pick this past summer. There's a reason that he made it to the MLB this quickly at only 21 years old. Kid's 6'6, he's 235. He throws 101. His fastball, man, look. And the thing about it too is like his fastball on Sunday or Saturday, whatever it was. I believe it was Sunday. I could be wrong. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Either way, his fastball looked he didn't have the command, but it had of course, some sizzle on it, and it had some tail on it. It had like late life to it. So a lot of guys were swinging and they were getting ready to barrel it up, and then it would just like tail in or tail away from them. They get it right off the end of the bat. I thought that was pretty neat. He painted a couple of them. That was great too. But man, what really makes Paul Skenes devastating is he's got this splinker is what they call it. So it's like a split fastball and sinker mix. Um, it goes faster than a splitter, and it doesn't sink as much as a sinker, but it's like a hybrid pitch. It's pretty disgusting too, especially when you pair it with like his curveball slider mix too. He painted man, look, there was a backdoor curveball. I don't remember who the batter was, but it was to a lefty, and there was this backdoor curveball that he threw to him, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, once this kid figures it out, I don't see how he's not going to be absolutely disgusting. This kid's got Cy Young potential just based off this one start, just because his stuff is really that good. And the crazy part about it too is like he didn't even have his A stuff or his A command, I should say. He wasn't commanding the zone exceptionally well. It wasn't like he was overwhelming the batters with strikes or anything like that, but he just got a lot of swing and miss, especially when it was in the zone. Guys are gearing up for 100, 101, 102 max, and then he comes with this curveball slider, and it's upper 80s. It's just like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So he looked good to me. He got out of a bases loaded jam in the second inning too. He got into a little bit of trouble, worked out of the trouble. I thought that was pretty nice to see. You like to see that from a young kid. He doesn't just tailspin and unravel. He's got some poise to him. Again, this kid is a champion in college. And he faced, I believe, 20 batters, so he went 4 plus. I think they pulled him out a little early though. And listen. Hindsight is 2020. I'll say that. But as they were pulling him out of the game because there was like a base hit, like a single, I believe, or double, I'm sorry, and then he walked the next batter. Um, and then they do the slow walk, and obviously he's gonna come out the game. The crowd gives him a standing ovation. Man, and this Pittsburgh crowd, before I continue, this Pittsburgh crowd was juiced. This is one of the biggest debuts in some years now. And this is one of the top pitching prospects in about a decade, some people will say. Decade plus, some people will say. So Pittsburgh's faithful, they came out there, they were absolutely juiced. Again, this was a Mother's Day weekend game. Pittsburgh, they're in last place, if I'm not mistaken. No reason for them to be this loud, but man, they really rallied behind Skenes, and they let the coach have it, the manager have it when he came and he was pulling them out of this game. He was pulling Skenes out the game. He got in a little bit of trouble, but he was in a bases loaded jam in the second inning. He showed that he could maybe get out of it, and his pitch count wasn't anything crazy. I know they're trying to like teams are cautious when it comes to pitch counts and things like that, especially with young pitchers and all the Tommy John that's going around and the fear of blowing a guy's arm out and all of that is warranted. I'm not discounting that, but he was at like 81 pitches, 82 pitches, something like that. And he worked himself in a little bit of trouble. I would have liked to have seen him go maybe another batter, depending on how that one goes, maybe two. And I feel like they pulled him out a little early. And like I was saying, hindsight is 2020. But I think there's a reason that when this game started, it was gloomy, it was raining. Paul Skeens comes in, clouds go away, sun is shining bright. It's suddenly a beautiful day in Pittsburgh. And then he starts to leave the game and the clouds come back. And this was symbolic of what happened to the Pirates in this game. Because once Paul Skeens came out of this game in the fourth inning, the next 15 pitches, the next 15 pitches of the game were all balls. 15 balls in a row. Kyle Nichols comes in, mind you, it's 2 on, no outs, 6-1 game. He comes in, he gets back to back Ks. Great, beautiful. You love to see it. He hits the next batter. I believe it was Ian Happ. Bases are loaded, 2 outs, and then walk, walk, walk. 15 pitches in a row, all balls. All of a sudden, it's a 6-4 game. Bases are still juiced. And, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, now you're sitting in your seat and you're like, there's no way. There's no way. At this point, you're clinching in the stands. Mind you, it's starting to drizzle now. The clouds are getting darker. It's getting nastier. It's getting muggier. You see the ponchos coming out. Next thing you know, Josh Fleming comes in. He walks the first batter he sees. It's a 6-5 game. Bases are still loaded, still 2 outs. Next guy comes up, infield single. And you know what? I got to give O'Neal Cruz for some credit for the defense he played on this one, but there was just nothing he could do. It was like one of those deep infield singles that like bounce a couple of times and get to the grass, and there's nothing a shortstop can do, right? Um, and then after that, man, Holderman comes in. They take Fleming out. They put Holderman in. He walks in a batter, tie game. He's facing one more. The rain it starts coming down even heavier now. He walks in another one, and then they call a rain delay. And I think that was so symbolic of what Paul Skeens means to this franchise because it was a beautiful day. The baseball gods allowed him to make his debut. But as soon as he came out, they went back to being cruel to the Pirates. And I just thought that it was just funny. It was just really cool to see. It started raining and thundering, and then they went into like a 2-hour delay or whatever it was. And I was just like, "There's no way this just happened." I'm not even a Pittsburgh fan. I was just like, "Bro, this is what are y'all doing out here, man? This is horrible." Um, so Skeens Day wasn't ruined. The Pirates did eventually come out victorious 10-9 at the end of his debut. He had nothing to do with the decision at this point. He had pitched like 3 or 4 hours prior. So Skeens Day wasn't ruined, but you would have liked to have seen him factor into the decision just a little bit more. Of course, in today's baseball, seeing starters factor into the decision is increasingly becoming less likely. So, it would have been a nice story, I think. It would have been picture perfect for this kid to come in and he just dominates in his start. Maybe he goes 7. He wasn't doing that in the minors, but it would have been nice to see. One can dream, right? One can dream. But Skeens, man, yeah. I think the kid is legit. When he was the number one pick, I knew it was between him or his teammate Dylan Cruz. And yeah, I knew this guy was gonna come up and do something. So I'm rooting for him. Hope he hope he bounces back from that start, I guess. Three of those runs are unearned, or two of them, sorry. But it goes to his ERA anyway because he was responsible for the runners. But yeah, no, again, that's why we don't really look at ERA as much as we used to. Especially not when we're talking about 4 innings. So I think the kid's gonna be all right, man. And speaking of pitching, we're gonna move into another pitcher here. We're gonna keep it National League as well. And we're gonna get Max Fried going here. Cause I don't know if you heard, but over the weekend, the Atlanta Braves were, depending on how you feel about it, they were getting ready to do something pretty special, I would say. Uh, it's not exactly how you'd like it to go down, but it would have happened nonetheless, and that would have been pretty cool. Uh, but Max Fried went 7 scoreless on Saturday. And you know what? That's pretty cool for him because he started off the season a little rocky, but that wasn't what was happening. What was happening was the Atlanta Braves pitching staff, they were 1 out away from a combined no hitter. Now, I know that combined no hitters are pretty controversial. Some people say it's a no hitter, some people say it's not as cool as a no hitter. Um, as me as a batter, I don't care if it's 1 guy or 3 guys or 4 guys, we didn't get a hit today. So to me, it's like we gotta do better, period. Obviously, 1 guy holding the team scoreless, I think, is a more impressive feat, but, a no-hitter, combined or not, it's still a no-hitter. I don't think they should hold as much weight as a regular no-hitter, but, still pretty cool nonetheless, and what would have been really cool about this is that, the Braves haven't thrown a no-hitter in 30 years. Which is kinda wild to think about. Um, I was like, when was their like, who was the last pitcher to throw their no-hitter? You would think it would be, like, one of their Hall of Fame guys, especially from those dynastic '90s Braves teams. They went to multiple World Series, but no, it was, Kent Mercker in Dodger Stadium in 1994, and, that's not a name that I would have guessed if you would have given me some guesses for the last no hitter in Braves history. Um, and then, I'm like, well, how many teams have a drought of 30 years when it comes to no hitters? So there's only 3 teams that have a longer drought than them, and that's Cleveland, Toronto, and Kansas City. So to say the Braves are due is an understatement because especially when you're 1 out away too. JD Martinez was the one to steal the show here and mess it up. He broke it up in the ninth with 2 outs. He hit a home run, and then he almost broke it up in the seventh too. He almost hit a home run to the exact same spot in the seventh inning. So he was a man on a mission that day, and it would have been really cool to have seen Max get it by himself or to see, just to see the whole staff get it. I believe it was 2 other relievers who came in and were looking to finish it off for him, but didn't finish it off. It would have been great to see those guys finish it off. But in the end, they were 1 out away, and Max Fried, I think he's the story here in this one with the no-hitter broken up now, because Max Fried, obviously, Spencer Strider went down earlier this season, unfortunately, so that's a big hit on this pitching staff. So Max Fried, he's gotta step up, and, to start the season, there's no other way to say it. He was just straight out lousy, man. I mean, his first start of the season, he only got 2 outs. He faced 7 batters, he walked 3 of them. He gave up 3 runs, and he also allowed 2 guys to steal bags on him. Not how you wanna start your season. And then in his next start, check this out. He lowered his ERA to 18, and this was after he gave up 7 runs. He gave up 7 runs and his ERA went down. That's how poorly he did in his first start. Um, but you know, I started looking at his streak that he's been on because he's been pitching pretty dominant since that second start of the season. And in his last six starts since that second poor start where he gave up 7 earned, Max Fried has a 179 ERA. He's allowing batters to hit 134. He's pitched 40 innings. 31 strikeouts isn't too crazy, but you have to remember this is a ground ball pitcher. And that was part of his issue with his start on Saturday. Yeah, and which is crazy, right? A guy goes seven scoreless. You think, okay, like monkey's off his back. He's feeling good about himself. But even Max still wasn't satisfied with this. Max said that he said that he didn't feel too great about his start. And then he also said that he wished he could have pitched a little better because he gave up too many line drives and there were too many fly balls for his liking. Which, if you watch the game, there, the exit velo was coming off the Mets bats. They were definitely squaring the ball up. His defense happened to be behind him. Max Freeze was, especially, and in that seventh inning, particularly that ball that JD Martinez hit, Michael Harris went back on that line drive and caught that at the wall. Otherwise, that looked like that was going to be a double. So he was fortunate to kind of get out of that one unscathed. Max Freed was so. Um, He did have some struggles early in the year when it came to his breaking ball, but his breaking ball has been a little bit better over the last handful of starts. He's starting to control his curveball a little bit more, and he's starting to induce more ground balls, which is exactly what Max Fried wants. That's exactly what he wants. In his start on Saturday, he only got 5 ground ball outs. That's not a Max Fried start. That's not a Max Fried start. So, um, again, he threw 109 pitches. He went 7 scoreless. And that's exactly what you want from Max Fried if you're the Atlanta Braves. Um, for Fried, he hasn't given up any runs outside of his start against the Dodgers, and that was last weekend. Outside of that, 3 out of his last 4 starts, he hasn't given up any runs. He's starting to get a little dominant here. His little 4-game stretch that he's got going on, yeah, Max Fried is making a statement here. Max Fried is making a statement, and he should because again, he's an upcoming free agent. He's in his age 30 season, and he's someone who's looking to get paid. Yeah, I'm sure he enjoys being on the Braves. I'm sure he enjoys contending. I'm sure all of that is nice, but guys only get to test free agency and get a payday once in baseball, really. Most guys. So seeing Max Fried turn it on right now and maybe even continue to keep it going throughout the season, and then particularly in October, that's where he's gonna really make his money. We'll see if he remains locked in. We'll see if he can put those curveball struggles behind him, that breaking ball, and we'll see what he can do because Max Fried is starting to look like Max Fried again. And yeah, that's scary. And the Atlanta Braves in general, the Braves, they've kind of turned into a pitching team here. Now, I know that they still have the offense. They've got some guys that are struggling though, particularly like Matt Olson. Um, he's been struggling out the gates, but in their bullpen too. AJ Minter, he hasn't been able to close games down at the back end of the bullpen or any type of high pressure situations that you put him in. You can put him in the eighth, you can put him in the ninth. It doesn't really matter. He's not really getting outs. So Braves, they look good. Their pitching has been good. But you'd like to see the back end of their bullpen, you know, um, kind of cement things a little bit here. And you'd also like to see their bats get going a little bit more, especially since they're trailing the Phillies now. The Braves are. The Braves aren't in first place. It's been a while. since we haven't seen the Braves in first place, but they're 2 behind Philly as of tonight, while I'm recording this. And again, we're gonna talk about Philly in a little bit, but if you're Atlanta now, Atlanta, you've played most of your seasons. You don't really play with a lot of urgency. I don't watch Braves games and really get the sense of urgency from them during the season. Which is, why I feel like down the stretch and in October, they've kind of fell short a couple times because you can't just flip the switch when you want. That's not how it works. And we're starting to see that with Philly. Philly, they always have fire. Like that this Phillies team is so determined, so hungry. I'm almost ready to make them my World Series pick. You got Bryce slamming bats and breaking bats in May. And this is a team that's on a bit of a run, the Phillies. They're 20-4 since April 15th. And this is a team that's starting to get a little banged up too, which is probably why Bryce is frustrated, truthfully, because his team is starting to get banged up here. You got Turner going down, he's out for a few weeks. That's an unfortunate injury. Trey Turner, he's their most dynamic person on the bases, and he goes down. You hate to see that. You got Schwarber, he's got his back injury that he's dealing with now. Shouldn't be significant time though. And then Real Muto is now dealing with a knee. But yeah, man, these guys, they're hungry. Any Phillies game you watch, they're hungry. The crowd is hungry. The city wants it. And if the Braves, if they just lollygag through the season, they're gonna find themselves in a wild card situation. Which, I know they complained about winning the division last year. I'm not saying they're throwing the division. I highly doubt that. Teams don't do that. But you know, in their eyes, it's more advantageous to be a wild card team anyway because they got the long break last year with the number one seed or whatever, and ultimately, some guys were saying that that was what their demise came down to. But it just depends on how much you put into that. Either way, I know me. If I'm on the team, I want to win the division every year. That's just my mentality. Um, and the Phillies, they're looking to win the division too. They're hungry for the division. During the offseason, if you listen to this team, they're saying they want to win the division and they want to win the World Series. All they want to do is win. And for Atlanta, that's scary, especially since you've had some struggles with them in the last two postseasons. Last thing you want to do is make this team hungrier, and last thing you want to do is give them any type of advantage. Now, for the Phillies, we knew their pitching was going to be good, but damn, this team is killing it. Ranger Suarez in particular. I I just got to tip my cap to dude cuz the start that he is having in this season right now is a pretty wild. I'm going to go ahead and pull up his StatCast page really quick here. Um, because when I was looking at it the other day, I was like, bro, there's a Ranger Suarez. I mean, I know Ranger Suarez. I don't say that to disrespect him. He's a quality pitcher, but I was like, bro, he's 7-0. I mean, I know we don't put too much in wins nowadays. Wins are pretty much an irrelevant stat, but 7 wins in 8 games, I think that counts for something, man. He's leading. He's one of the top pitchers in innings. He's one of the top pitchers in ERA. He's one of the top pitchers in strikeouts. He's got 55 and 54 innings. And you know what? He's got the best whip in the league. Third highest ground ball rate, best whip in the league. And you know what? Ranger Suarez is also a blast to watch because this guy, even before the pitch clock, Ranger Suarez was throwing that ball. He was always one of the fastest workers in MLB. And he throws a lot of strikes and he's really deceptive. That's what I really like about watching this guy. Because he's got a good pitch mix and he's good at tunneling the ball, especially as a lefty. You love to see that from your lefty pitch. And he's only 28 years old too, man. That's the best part about all this. He's only 28 years old. Um, and you would imagine he would just continue coasting through the season. Uh, he's off to NL Cy Young type starts. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, and you got to throw him in that conversation. I know it's May and we're talking about awards, but he's really been that good. Um, he's dominant, and he's not doing it with any type of velo either. His fastball is averaged at 92 miles per hour, and his sinker is also 91. So he's not killing you with velo. But man, he's just so deceptive. Um, I'm sure guys in the outfield, I'm sure they get bored watching this guy because he's getting a ground ball 6 out of every 10 batters. 60% of the batters are getting ground balls. I mean, your infielders are feeling good, but your outfielders are kind of like, what's going on, man? What's going on for real, for real? And then guys aren't putting the ball in play, striking guys out. So gotta give some love to Ranger Suarez and what he's got going on this season. It's been truly beautiful to watch. And yeah, that Phillies pitching staff, man, they've got something brewing over there. And going into October, that's terrifying. Like, if you gotta see this team and you gotta go to Philly in Citizens Bank Park, and you gotta sit in front of that Red Sea in one of the most electric playoff environments in all of baseball. It's just something about Philly that's a little bit different. And then you got guys like Alec Bohm stepping up. He was I wouldn't say a role player, I wouldn't say, but he was just a solid piece to the team. He's turning himself into he's been the best player on the team this season. Um, Bryce is Bryce. Castellanos is starting to heat up. You imagine you're gonna get Turner back in a few weeks. You're gonna get Remuto back. You're gonna get Schwarber back. Um, I still do think they miss Reese a little bit, especially seeing what Reese is doing in Milwaukee. Um, but yeah, man, this team is nasty. And then again, I didn't shout him out in particular. I just said their pitching staff, but Zach Wheeler deserves some love too. He's got an argument for it, some people would say he's the best pitcher in the game right now. If you look at his track record, if you look at his stats, if you look at his contract, he lived up to his contract, got an extension. It's all the way worth it. He showed up in the playoffs. Zach Wheeler's in the conversation right now, man. He can some people say he's the best pitcher in the game, and I'm not mad at that. I still think, you get Garrett Cole on the bump. I still think he's the best. He's hurt right now though, but yeah, man, Zach Wheeler, you put him against anyone and you should feel pretty good about yourself. So, you got Ranger, you got Walker. Of course, there's Wheeler, sorry, I said Walker, Wheeler, and then there's always Nola too. I mean, so three-headed monster is disgusting. The lineup is hell to pitch to. So we'll see what happens with Philly moving forward. Their schedule's been kind of favorable to this point, I will say. Just based on who they've been playing. But yeah, man, their schedule's gonna start heating up a little bit. They played the Mets tonight. They won, but they've got the Mets. They've got the Nationals. The Nationals aren't, they're not pushovers. They're doing their thing. They've got Texas. They just got swept by Colorado, so they're pissed off. And then you got Colorado, San Francisco, and St. Louis, so it kind of lightens up a little bit on the back end there. But the next handful of weeks could, tell us a little bit more about this Phillies team. They're a little challenged right now because of the injuries, and you can't really judge them based on the injury. Everyone's got injuries, but when this team's at full strength, as we see, they won what 26 out of their first 40 games. So yeah, this team is pretty nasty, and we got to watch out for the Phillies, man. You put them up against anyone, they're yeah, they're up there, man. This is one of the best teams in the NL. I think that's not a stretch at all. And who's to say they can't go all the way? Now, going into the final segment of this show, we're going to talk about stats, math, numbers. We're going to talk about some numbers here, y'all. So, a new stat just came out today. Today. Add it to your list of stats out there, my MLB nerds, MLB geeks. Take out the pen and pencil, the pen and paper, and go ahead and jot this one down. So today, MLB announces that they are now they have new Statcast data, and this one is one of my favorites. You hear me talk about this a lot, especially for, when I'm evaluating hitters personally. This is something I look for, and that's bat speed. So we have new bat tracking data through Statcast. Statcast, look, man, the people at Statcast, I don't know if they don't go home. I don't know if they just don't love their families. I don't know what they got going on, but Statcast is just becoming it's becoming incredible. Like when this first came out a decade ago, like I didn't expect it to evolve into all of this. We're talking about expected home runs and um outs above average and sprint speed and tempos and things like that and run values and all in woba and stuff. The list goes on. Um and now to add it to the mix, not only did we get the sword stat earlier in the year thanks to Pitching Ninja, we also have bat speed data now. So bat speed is exactly what you think it is. It's exactly what you think it is. How fast are you swinging your bat? What exactly why do we look for bat speed? I know for me, I look for bat speed because I like someone who's quick to the ball. How quick are your hands? Because usually when you have quick hands, you can pull a ball, and I like guys who can hit to all fields. Everyone does, of course, but particularly when it comes to having to pull the ball, I enjoy it. Um, so we're gonna look at the leaders together. I have no idea who the bat speed leaders are. We're looking at this together for the first time on From the Dish. I feel like I should give a brief introduction to how this stat came about and exactly what it is. But again, it's exactly what it sounds like. How fast do you swing your bat? Why it matters to me? It's a foundation of hitting. Do you have quick hands? Can you get your bat to the ball quickly? Um, can you get your bat through the zone to the ball? All of that stuff matters. And we're talking about fractions of seconds at this point. But the, anyone who has played baseball, anyone who loves baseball, watches baseball, you understand that those milliseconds that you're fighting for, they matter when it comes to hitting a baseball. So I think that's why MLB has invested in this. This is something that has been brewing for 2 years. I did some homework and they said 2 years. They use what's called Hawkeye tracking, and it's a system that positions cameras around the entire stadium. uh, 5 of them run at 300 frames per second. 300 frames per second. Now, if you're someone like me, you play video games, you like your games at 60 frames per second. So I'm thinking 5 times that is how quickly, yeah, I can't even grasp that. So, building this model and releasing it into the Statcast platform is pretty incredible, honestly. Um, and again, this all matters. Don't put too much into this data. Again, like most stats that we have, you kind of want to take it with, I don't want to say a grain of salt, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You don't only want to look at bat speed. I know bat speed is enticing, but you don't want to only look at bat tracking data. Um, of course, not until we start getting things like swing paths. I'm sure they have that already too. I'm sure they can look at their swing paths. Um, I don't think they can look at barrel control, but swing paths, barrel control, your timing, your hand-eye coordination, all of that goes into a swing, not just how fast you're swinging it. Um, so jumping into these stats together, I don't know what to expect, y'all. Let's see who leads the league in bat speed. So we're here on Statcast, and I wasn't expecting this. So John Carlos Stanton by a landslide has the highest average bat speed at 80.6 miles per hour. The next closest guy is O'Neal Cruz at 76. So he's 3 miles per hour faster than the next guy. Now, again, this goes to show you that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't only look at bat speed because again, Giancarlo Stanton, no disrespect, but he's not the best hitter in the league or anything by any stretch of the imagination. Um, but he's got bat speed. His exit velo is incredible. Obviously, that's part of the reason why you want to generate bat speed so you can get some exit velocity off the bat cuz obviously the higher velocity, the harder you hit the ball, and that's what you want. And in order to do that, you got to get more barrels, and in order to do that, you got to have the control and so on and so forth. So that just goes to show again, even with the top bat speed, the top exit velocity, um, and one of the top hard hit rates that you still can fail in this sport, which is insane because I mean that's why we love this crazy stupid sport anyway, right? Um, but yeah, it doesn't help that he's striking out 35% of the time. But anyway, that's Giancarlo. So that just goes to show that just because you have bat speed doesn't mean you're an elite hitter. Um, so again, let's see. We got guys like Matt Chapman up here. He's fourth. Again, he's about an average hitter. But if you're looking at some notables, we got Acuna, we got Judge, we got my guy Joe Adele. Joe Adele, eighth average bat speed. I think that's pretty cool. Julio Rodriguez is here, Juan Soto, Jordan Alvarez, Mike Trout. So, these are some guys. These are some guys with bat speed. But I'm gonna look at the inverse. Oh man, look at this. So check this out, y'all. Check this out. So Luis Arias has the lowest average bat speed in the game. And he's considered one of the most pure hitters in all of baseball. His contact rate is insane. Uh yeah, he has probably the lowest whiff percentage. That's just off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure he has the lowest whiff percentage in the game. He's not swinging and missing it much. He doesn't strike out at all, hardly ever. Uh, and I'm sure, but again, he gets a lot of soft contact. Uh, but yeah, that just goes to show again, yeah, that bat speed isn't everything. Who else we got down here? We got Justin Turner down here. Uh, you got guys like Alex Verdugo down here. Um, Marcus Simeon is down here. So, you know, again, these are some guys as well. But Will Smith, who had a big hit tonight, he's down here too. So Jose Altuve, one of the best hitters of our generation, one of the slowest bat speeds in all of baseball. Incredible. Incredible. Luis Arias is on an island by himself, by the way. If you guys get a chance to look at this chart, the bat tracking statcast bat tracking, yeah, Luis Arias is in an island on by himself. He's squaring the ball up, but he's not swinging very fast. So, anywho, I think that this is a great addition to the StatCast manual. Again, this is something that hitting coaches look for. This is something that we evaluate players with. So I'm glad that we can finally quantify it now, which is really cool. Average bat speed in the game is what, 71.5 is average. So, you're talking average. We talked about both sides of the spectrum. We got to talk about the middle too, right? So we got like guys like Eugenio Suarez. We got guys like George Springer, Trey Turner, Michael Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino. Those guys are more in the middle. Alec Bohm, who's been going off, he's slightly above average. So again, you know, we have all these numbers available to us in baseball, and yet we think we know so much about this sport just to learn that we really don't know anything at all. But I really love how science has implemented itself into the game. At this point, it's a fabric of baseball. There's no way to really talk about the game, in modern baseball, particularly without some sort of science being involved in it. Because again, we're talking about launch angles and bat speeds and exit velocities and things like that, and fighting for precious milliseconds, literal milliseconds when you're talking about the ball being thrown at hundreds of miles per hour and the amount of time that hitters have to adjust to it and to set up for it. And then you got the pitch clock going now too. So that's what makes baseball so exciting for me. That's what makes it so great because it's literally a battle for milliseconds. And all of this data that we have that's available to us through StatCast, through advanced metrics, um, through all the science that's integrated in the game, all the testing that we have now, I think that it's only making the athletes better. They're trying to perfect the game. Obviously, the game will never be perfect. This is such a crazy, difficult, ridiculous, stupid, beautiful sport. Um, and we'll never truly perfect it. But it's nice to see that we're getting closer and closer to understanding how to perfect it. So I'm I'm liking all of this StatCast data, and you know, I'm just interested to see what's next. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get something. At this point, I don't know anymore. I wasn't asking for bat speed data myself, even though I'm someone who typically looks at that. But I just wonder what's next. Because we've already got framing, um, we've got bat speed, velos, we've got pitcher extensions, we've got catcher pop times, we've got route efficiency, all of these things, sprint speeds and stolen base chances, like the percent of chance that you have to steal the base. All of these metrics, and you just put them all together and you think that you know what you're talking about. And then a guy like Steven Kwan goes out there and he's having a hell of a season, when all off season we were talking about what's this Guardians outfield gonna do, right? So that's why we love this game. And I'm glad that I'm ending the show on a positive this time. If you've been here the last couple weeks, I've had to try to end it on a positive, but we're naturally ending it on a positive tonight, with this new edition of bat tracking data. And look into it if you get the chance, guys. This Statcast stuff is crazy. I I didn't expect it to, because when Statcast first came out, it was very simple back then. Back then it was just, launch angle. So like what's the degrees uh of the ball off of your bat, right? So is it like 23 degrees or whatever? That's the sweet spot or whatever I think it is. Um, and then you start talking about exit velocity. So how hard is the ball hit off the bat, and home run distance and things like that. There was new ways to look at that. And then then it evolved into like the 3D shit. And then yeah, man, it's just crazy. All the technology that we have, not only in baseball, but in the world. And now we have PitchCom too. PitchCom has entered baseball now. So, guys don't have to do signs anymore. Thank you, Houston Astros. So we're in a great spot in the game. Um, Sometimes it can be very it's an uphill battle for new fans. If you're not a fan of baseball and you're listening to this and I'm saying all of this, you're like, what? Like what it's like a new language. It's literally a new language. This StatCast and advanced metrics. So I'm glad to see it. And I'm kind of rambling at this point, but that pretty much wraps up the show, y'all. Again, going on vacation this upcoming week. I'll be in Maryland, so stay tuned for some content inside the stadium. I plan on showing y'all the stadium and what it looks like on the inside, the outside, things you can do, things you can buy. What makes Camden stand out? I hear Camden is one of the most gorgeous stadiums in all of baseball. So really excited for that one. Nationals, we'll see. Um, haven't heard too many things about it. Average ballpark from what I hear. I'm sure the tickets are going to be cheap too. Hopefully they call up James Wood. Call up James Wood Nationals. Call him up. Have his debut when I'm at the stadium, so I can say I went to James Wood debut. Um, and that's pretty much it, y'all. Share this with your mama. Share this with your auntie. Happy Mother's Day. I know this is a day late, but it's really cool to see the players in all the pink gear too. I gotta say, that's one thing I like about Mother's Day. The guys come out in the pink cleats. You see the catchers in the pink chest protector and the pink face mask and all that stuff. I think that's really cool. So, yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. Share this with your mama. If you love your mama, you'll show her from the dish, and then you'll get her cell phone and you'll tell her that you're gonna follow at From the Dish on all her socials so she can get baseball content straight to her, new podcasts, new blogs, all of that good stuff coming straight to you, all by yours truly. And with that, have a good week, y'all. Should be back next week for another podcast. Don't think I'll miss that one, but stay tuned, y'all. Peace.